Welcome aboard, fellow enthusiasts, as we embark on another incredible video. Welcome to our channel, where today's focus is all about Mitar Subotić. Let's get started. Mitar Subotić Suba, 23 June 1961 to November 1999, also known as Rex Ilusivii, Latin for the King of Illusions, was a Serbian-born musician and composer who was set to become one of Brazil's most prominent producers when he died in November 1999. Subotić obtained a university degree in his hometown from the University of Novi Sad, Vojvodina, Serbia, before continuing electronic music studies in Belgrade. He was a pioneer of electronic music in former Yugoslavia, since he mixed and produced a number of celebrated albums of Yugoslav new wave acts such as Ekatarina Velika, Haustor, Marina Perazić in the course of the years. In 1986, his fusion of electronic music and Yugoslav folk lullabies in the Mooncage was awarded the International Fund for Promotion of Culture from UNESCO, which included a 3-month scholarship to research Afro-Brazilian rhythms in Brazil. Falling in love with the country and its music, he emigrated to São Paulo in the years, where his fruitful production began and ended. During that time he participated in Milan Mladenović's last project Angel's Breath, and recorded his famous album São Paulo Confessions. On to November 1999 he was working on the post-production of the album of his newfound diva, Bebel Gilberto, when his studio caught fire. Overcome by smoke, he died trying to rescue the newly recorded material with her. Suba died just a few days after the release of his album São Paulo Confessions, and shortly before the completion of Bebel Gilberto's acclaimed Tanto Tempo, the biggest-selling Brazilian album outside Brazil. Let's now turn our attention to early years 1961-1982 and uncover the fascinating insights it brings to the table. Early years 1961-1982. Mitar Subotić Suba was born on 23 June 1961 in Novi Sad, where he attended the music elementary school, playing accordion and achieving notable success with his accordion school orchestra in Yugoslavia and abroad. He started his career as a rock musician as a keyboard player in the short-lived bands 96% and XX 20th Century, the latter disbanding in 1982, after which he turned to his own solo career. He studied composition and orchestration at the University of Novi Sad Music Academy, during which he had shown an interest for electronic music. This was the reason why he attended the electronic music course organized at the University of Belgrade by Paul Pignon, a British saxophone player temporarily living in Belgrade. At the time, strongly influenced by the French ambient music composer Rex Ilusivii and British keyboard player and producer Brian Eno, he started recording ambiental music compositions, experimenting with different sounds, including telephone sounds, birds chirping and Amazonian indigenous music. In the next portion, we'll be immersing ourselves in the realm of career in Yugoslavia 1983-1989 and examining its broader implications. Career in Yugoslavia 1983-1989. Subotić released his first recordings in an original way. The tracks that were signed under the pseudonym Rex Ilusivii were delivered personally by him to the Radio Novi Sad reception desk addressed to Dragan Dujković, the host of the U-pop scene and Novi Vidisi New Horizons cult radio shows, which subsequently broadcast the recordings without knowing the author's true identity. After a year of sending new compositions to Dujković every week, Subotić decided to reveal his identity, after which came a live presentation of his work with performances in Novi Sad, Belgrade, Zagreb, Ljubljana, Sarajevo and Subotica. In 1983, with the Novi Sad conceptual artist Lena Bus, Subotić performed in Paris and Venice, and with the comic book artist Zoran Janjetov and multimedia artist Kosta Bunovac, he organized the first Yugoslav rock performance at the sold-out Belgrade SKC. At the time, Janjetov was one of his key collaborators, as he recommended him to use the pseudonym Rex Ilusivii after a comic book character, gave him certain ideas and named several compositions. The compositions recorded in the period between 1983 and 1985 were part of Subotić's project Mooncage, the title being self-explanatory of the musical experimentation Subotić had undertaken, in which Subotić collaborated with a number of already well-known musicians, resulting in a number of true radio hits. Zoran Janjet of Janja in the track Giti, Jakarta vocalist Igor Popovi in the songs Plice the Birds and Orbija Arabia featuring Tomo in Derman on guitar, Ekatarina Velika frontman Milan Mladenović in the cover of the James Brown song Sex Machine, Dennis singer Marina Perazić in the song Plava Jutra Blue Mornings, and Dorian Gray frontman Massimo Savi in the composition Face Dance. The compositions Lekub Doom, recorded under the obvious influence of Serbian Orthodox music, was included by Zoran Modli on the PGPRTB Various Artists compilation Ventilator 202 Volume 1, released in 1983. 2 years later, the song Orbija appeared on the Ventilator 202 Volume 3 compilation. Subotić's debut studio album Disillusioned, having been turned down by the major Yugoslav record companies, was released as a part of the 30th anniversary celebration of the Radio Novi Sad show Rendezvous some Musicum, a rendezvous with music in a limited pressing of 500 copies. The recording sessions featured Milan Mladenović, Oro Irov, Massimo Savi, Elektrini Orgasm bassist Zoran Radomirović Ivaba, and the pianist Branka Pali. The album B-side featured the 25-minute composition Thuns Mr. Rorschach and Magentina team Erika Satija Thuns Mr. Rorschach ambience on Eric Satie themes, composed as a kind of a musical Rorschach test on the impressions from Satie's themes. The album back cover featured a dedication to Rundi Bakshi and a review by the head of the Eric Satie Foundation saying it is a great pleasure to see that in Yugoslavia a musician, Mitar Subotić Rex Ilusivii, is composing some significant material, especially a piece, an homage to Satie, composed in a way that Satie would like best, that everyone finds one's own path and one's personality. The music of Rex Ilusivii presents exactly this formula, this procedure. Simultaneously with the album recording and release, Subotić had worked on music for television, theatre plays and choreodramas, for Haris Pajović Jelka Kodivanovi for Tri Etivans and Mara Sad Mara USA, Noa Kokitovi's Nijiva Barka Noah's Ark, Upotraziza Isawajenim Vremenim A Quest for Lost Time, Plava Brady Bluebeard and Medija Medea, and Suki John Mishner. He had also worked as a producer and sound engineer for other Yugoslav acts. In 1985 he produced the Haustor album Bolero, the Heroina and La Strada band's eponymous debut albums, the 1988 October 1864 album Igra Bojama Playing with Colors and the 1989 Ekatarina Velika album Samo Podgodinazanas Only a Few Years for Us. A number of Novi Sad bands, including Aubergine Program, had Subotić as a sound engineer on their recordings, and he had also worked as a sound engineer for the live appearances by Ekatarina Velika and Carlo Iveri. The recording of the Ekatarina Velika 1988 concert at the SMP Novi Sad, with Subotić as the sound engineer, was released in 1997 as Lid 88. The interest for electroacoustic music, which he had shown since his early works through the motifs of Serbian folkloric lullabies, took him to Paris, where, in 1985, he composed theatre music, and at the IRCAM Institute, he expanded his knowledge in the field of electronic acoustic music. During his stay in Paris, with Goran Vojvoda he started recording the album The Dreamed, in the Mooncage, which was the last to feature the pseudonym Rex Ilusivii, featuring the combination of recordings of birds chirping, made in Madagascar, combined with Serbian traditional lullabies and electronic music arrangements. The recordings were promoted in an original way in the period between 1986 and 1992 by broadcasting the recordings on the main squares of Yugoslav, Italian and Brazilian cities. Owing to the UNESCO award for promoting traditional culture, which he had got for The Dreamed, in the Mooncage, he got a scholarship to São Paulo, where he landed on 15 March 1990 and decided to permanently live. Part of the recorded material was released as The Dreamed in 1994 by the Brazilian label COMEP Music. In this segment, we'll be unraveling the complexities of career in Brazil 1990-1999 and exploring its multifaceted nature. Career in Brazil 1990-1999. Soon after becoming a resident of São Paulo, Subotić started composing and recording music for radio, television, fashion shows and theatre plays, becoming an acclaimed and distinguished producer, mainly due to his combining of traditional Brazilian music with electronic music arrangements. He had also started collaborating with notable Brazilian musicians and bands of the time: Cotiabi, Cybele, Teixeira, Bebel Gilberto, the daughter of the famous Brazilian singer João Gilberto, Arnaldo Antunes, Marina Lima, Marissa Monte, Joe Donato, Joe Paraíba, and Mr. Ambrocio. During the second part of the years, he was credited on a large number of Brazilian albums as an arranger and a producer. On the 1995 albums Kizuma by Joe Paraíba, Janela dos Sonhos by Teixeira, the 1996-96 sessions by Hamito Pascoal, Andre Gereset and Benzina by Edith Skendera, Silencio by Arnaldo Antunes, El Muniz 1997 album Idim, and the 1998 albums Pero do Brasil by Marina Lima, Funa Cosa de Cabral by Mr. Ambrocio and Clubbing by Edson Cadero. He had also worked with the former Grateful Dead drummer Mickey Hart and the American band War. In the spring of 1994, with Milan Mladenović, he started recording material for the collaboration project Angel's Breath, featuring an array of Brazilian musicians: percussionist Joe Paraíba, guitarist Fabio Golfetti, vocalists Marisa and Madalena, combining alternative rock with Serbian and Balkan traditional music. Recorded in 3 months in leisurely conditions, Angel's Breath featured the prominent tracks Serbian for the Worm, Assassino Portuguese for Murderer, and Praia do Vento Eterno, similar to Praia do Vento Eterno, which is Portuguese for the Beach of Eternal Wind. This was Mladenović's last project. On his return to Serbia on 5 November 1994, he died in Belgrade at the age of 36. The Serbian critic Petar Lukovi, in a critical review of the album, said, "Angel's Breath is not a soft, easygoing record. It demands attention, participation. It is an album which corresponds with the listener as much as the listener corresponds with itself." Such Serbian rock albums have never had this, and with the departure of Milan Mladenović, I am afraid will never have. In November 1999, Subotić released the album São Paulo Confessions in Brazil by Trama Music, in Europe by Zirigiboom on Crammed Discs, in Japan by Sony Records, and in the United States by Island Records. The album featured guest appearances by the vocalists Cybele, Cotiabi and Teixeira, jazz guitarist Andre Gereset, percussionist Joe Paraíba, and the members of Mr. Ambrocio. Part of the material from the album was remixed by Phil Asher, and the remixes were released as a 12-vinyl EP Voxcosta. São Paulo Confessions received positive critics worldwide. The album review at AllMusic, on which the critic John Valley gave the album 4.5 out of 5 stars. However, on 2 November 1999, on the evening of the São Paulo Confessions album promotion, in an attempt to rescue the recordings from his studio which had been caught up in a fire, Subotić died at the age of 38. Turning our focus to legacy, let's explore its key elements. After Subotić's death, 2000, a non-profit organization, the Suba Institute, was founded in his honor in Brazil. Since 2008, the Novi Sad Exit Festival World Music Stage was named Suba Stage. In January 2012, it was announced that the Novi Sad Lyman Park would get a Mitar Subotić place in honor of the musician. In October 2022, the winning ideal plans for Mitar Subotić's monument, designed by Milan Mladenović, were revealed to the public. The commission for the monument was initiated by the Novi Sad European Capital of Culture Foundation with the support of the Mitar Subotić Suba Foundation. On 6 November 2023, the monument was unveiled at Suba's Plateau in Lyman Park. The unveiling of the sculpture was attended by many Novi Sad residents, including those who knew the artist and his family. The song Subotić recorded with Marina Perazić, Plavi Jutra, was covered by Ana Sofranovi, and the recording appeared on the various artists' Unplugged compilation Bez Strush Unplugged in 1994. In 2002, a group of musicians from Brazil and the United Kingdom, including Cybele, Trio Mocket member Joe Parahiba, Marina Lima, Phil Asher and Juryman, recorded the Suba tribute album Tributo. In 2005, the Rex Ilusivii in vitro Suba Within Us ballet based on Subotić's life was written by choreographer Oleksandr Ketig, and the soundtrack for the play was released on the album of the same name. In 2012, the Suba Connection Band, a supergroup consisting of musicians Subotić had worked with during his career in Brazil, fronted by Joe Parahiba, performed at the Exit Festival's Suba stage. In 1988, the various artists' compilation Ventilator 202 Volume 1, featuring Subotić's song Zlukub, appeared as number 100 of the list of the 100 greatest Yugoslav popular music albums in the book YU100, Najbolji albumi Jugoslovensk rock pop music YU100, the best albums of Yugoslav pop and rock music. In 2006, the song Plavi Jutra Blue Mornings was number 66 on the top 100 domestic songs list, polled by the listeners of the Serbian radio. The list also featured Ekatarina Velika song Samo Pagodinas as number 1, Haustor song as number 2 and Ena as number 11, and Lostroda song Okan as number 39, all from the albums produced by Subotić. In 2008, São Paulo Confessions was included in the musical reference book 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die, edited by Robert Dimery and published in 2005, being the only Yugoslav act beside Labik to be included on the list. The list also featured the Bebel Gilberto album Tanto Tempo produced by Subotić before his death. Tanto Tempo became one of the biggest-selling Brazilian albums both in and out of Brazil. The lyrics of the song Neba no Postelji Courage Wrinkle in the Sheets Courage from the album Disillusioned, and Kv from Angel's Breath, both written by Milan Mladenović, were featured in Petar Janjatović's book Pesm Bratstva, Detinjstva and Potomstva, Antologija XYU Rock Posage 1967-2007 Songs of Brotherhood, Childhood and Offspring, Anthology of XYU Rock Poetry 1967-2007. Our focus now turns to studio albums, an important aspect of our discussion. Disillusioned. 1987 The Dreamer with Goran Vojvoda. 1994 Angel's Breath with Milan Mladenović, released as Angel's Breath. 1994 São Paulo Confessions. 1999 Rex Ilusivii in vitro Suba Within Us 2005. Get ready for an exciting exploration as we unravel the mysteries of other appearances. Zlukub Ventilator 202 Volume 1, 1983 Arabia Ventilator 202 Volume 3, 1985 in the Mooncage 4, Outro XU Electronica Vol 3, 2012. Have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover in future videos? Let me know in the comments.